So James White finally decided to step down from his ivory tower to bless us plebs, yes, the tiny consumers, with a tad bit of information on why he decided to print Monarch to 125k and why he refuses to put out first edition and unlimited at the same exact time. And honestly, folks, his answers aren't very invigorating. They come off as backpedaling nonsense to me, him trying to justify his terrible decision making. Because he saw green with Monarch. He realized that he could make bank by overprinting the set. He knows that nobody understands the inner workings of the company, so he can come back and come up with all kinds of nonsense excuses, and everybody's going to eat it up like candy. And that's exactly what they're doing. Look at all the comment sections of these videos. People are eating this up. Literally, he's forming them around his hands like clay. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's a bunch of hoopla to me, and it even comes off kind of selfish. Now, I understand you might say, how is it selfish? This man came out and said he doesn't want to release first edition and unlimited at the same exact time because he wants everybody that opens boxes day one to be able to enjoy pulling something special. And that's 100% admirable. I will be the first to admit it. But you want to know who else has the same exact mentality? Mike Waddell. And you want to know what Mike Waddell does for MetaZoo? He puts special chasers into every single one of his products. It doesn't matter if it's first edition, unlimited, third edition, it doesn't matter. Everything has something special in it. So why can't James do that with flesh and blood? I don't understand. Put something into your unlimited boxes. Is it because you're lazy? Is it because you don't want to give extra product to your fans? I don't understand. Like, put some more value into your boxes. It only helps everybody. It makes them more hyped. People want to buy them. People want to crack them. It's exciting. Just put something in there. It's not the same old bulk that nobody wants at the end of the day. Once you got the cards that you need for your decks, you're cracking boxes for no good reason because there's nothing in there. You're just throwing money down the toilet. It doesn't make any sense. Put something of value in there. One of the biggest problems I had with Flesh and Blood is they do not have a first edition insignia on their card. Unlike every other card game I've ever seen, they refuse to do it. I guess they just want to keep things nice and clean. But it's crazy to me. I mean, the only other one's going to be doing it sorcery. But sorcery I kind of understand because they are so simple. But literally, you have to look at the bottom code of this card to try to figure out if it's a first edition or not. That's the only difference. Your first edition boxes have grown stale. They need more spice because the only thing that's in it is cold foils. And 90% of the time, they're common fucking cold foils that nobody wants. Sometimes you get your ass handed to you. You don't get any cold foil whatsoever. You're literally just throwing money out the window at that point in time. It's absolutely asinine to me, but that's how it works. And everybody enjoys this, apparently. I don't get it. And the cold foil on some of these cards, like this is the one I got from Rudy. This is lackluster to say the least. Like, this would have looked so sick if you would have added some of the cold foil into the weapons, or like his rib cage or his crown or something. This would have looked amazing. And I understand it's just a special promo card, but like this would have looked so sexy with proper cold foiling. The only thing you did was the border of the card. It's hideous. Like, it's not even good. So why would people want to buy your first edition boxes, let alone your unlimited boxes? At this point in time, you're dropping the first edition boxes, which is crazy. But that's what you're doing. So why would you go from 37,500 to 125k because you refuse to put something good into your unlimited boxes? I don't get it. So you're going to kill your game. You're going to overprint first edition because you have to push it off by a month because in your mind, that's how Flesh and Blood operates. That's the vision you see for the game. Because there's all kinds of different things you could have done to put out a smaller print run of first edition, but you're just going to come off with this excuse. Oh, I want to be the good guy. I want to look like the hero, and I'm going to give them some bullshit excuse. That's what I'm hearing. All the fans, they're hearing, oh my God, he wanted to be a good guy, this and that, but that's not the truth. The truth is, you just wanted to be lazy. You didn't want to give people that extra product. You didn't want to give them something special to chase. So instead, you just pumped up first edition and never disclosed it to us. Because let's be real, you knew that your fan base thought it was going to be around 75k. Because if you look at the previous sets, 16,700, 16,700, 37,500, you knew we were not expecting more than 75k. That's just common sense. But you had the audacity to up it to 125k and not say a damn thing. That is not being transparent. That's not being transparent in the slightest. Look at MetaZoo. They release the print runs every single time a new set comes out, immediately, so everybody knows. Is it because you're afraid that your product's not going to sell? Like, what is the reasoning why you cannot be transparent from the get-go? I don't get it. Because if you would, we would not be having this conversation right now. Believe me, 125k is asininely high. A lot of people would have stepped back and walked away. But guess what? Nobody would have got burnt. Your game's reputation would have sank Okay, everybody would still be trusting you. That's the problem. Nobody trusts LSS anymore. I mean, the fans still do. The players still do for some reason. I mean, literally, you could fuck their mothers and friggin' rape their children. I don't know. You could do some crazy asininely bad stuff, and these fucking players would still be riding your game. I don't get it. I literally don't get it. It makes no sense to me, but that's literally how it is. All right, literally how it is. You can get away with murder at this point in time, and that's one of my biggest problems I have. You know what I mean? It's not even because I invested a bunch of money into this game. It's because you're ruining the TCG community entirely. Because now everybody's going to think they can get away with murder when you're doing this. And it's not right. It's not right. You got to be held accountable, and nobody wants to hold you accountable. They're just coming up to you with open hands. They literally want to hug you right now with this 2.0 announcement, and I don't understand. I don't get it. Just be transparent. We would not be here in the first place. That is the biggest situation here, because this game started out being a collector's game. It was players as well. When I got into this game, I was hearing buzzings that James came up with this new system, first edition unlimited. First edition's for the collectors, unlimited's for the players. That's what I kept hearing. I don't understand it. It sounds just like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, all the models that we've been hearing for literally decades at this point in time. But everybody was acting like it was something new. He came up with this new model and it was going to be amazing. So everybody knew that there was going to be collectors here. You're focusing someone on collectors and also on playability at the same exact time. And now you're just baiting and switching us, literally. Because now there's no more collectability. And you know there's no more collectability because if you're printing to 125K and you're printing to the hype of all that noise, it's just common sense that you're going to land flat on your face. It's just common sense. Like literally, again, a bum off the street could have understood this. It's not a hard concept to grasp. Stick to your guns, stick to your models. Don't overprint because of the noise. Don't overprint because you see green in your eyes. Okay? Because then you're just ruining your game. You're tanking your reputation. That's the problem. Your reputation is tanked. Nobody can trust LSS anymore. Nobody can trust a damn thing you can say. Look at your website. You literally just put up that Everfest Unlimited is coming out in September. And now everybody's going crazy again because you have all these different fires happening all over the place. But James sits back and doesn't understand that that's a problem. He thinks it was fine putting it on there. He put it on there because he didn't want people to keep contacting support, asking when it was going to come out. And it's not even set in stone. But we didn't hear this until we asked Rudy. Rudy literally had to come out and ask him herself, which is crazy because you can't come out the woodworks and say these things on your own accord, which blows my mind even further. That tells me you're even less transparent. Because if we have to hear these things from Rudy's mouth, that he's the one that has to ask these questions because you can't address them yourself, that's so concerning. But people don't want to admit that. They don't want to admit it. And I'm glad that Rudy came out and asked hardball questions because nobody else is doing it. All the other content creators say that they're playing hardball when they do videos with James, when they do interviews, but they don't. They ask some of the softest questions I've ever seen, and they ignore all the things that we actually want to hear. So I'm glad that Rudy finally stepped out and asked some of the hard questions. At the end of the day, I am. As fucked up as it is that he had to be the one to do it, and that we had to hear these things from Rudy's mouth, literally, not even from the horse's mouth. We had to hear it from hearsay of what Rudy said. But now we're getting somebody's answers, and it's crazy to me, some of the things that I'm hearing. It is. And honestly, Rudy played it off very well. I could tell Rudy's pissed. Every single time he talked about how the game could possibly still survive, he kept looking off camera, looking to the side, which is a telltale sign that he doesn't really think that it's going to. At this point in time, I think he's lost a lot of faith in James and LSS, and he should. And he can say, well, like, he's an evil investor, so, you know, whatever. Well, sure. But what do you have to look forward to with this game? What did the 2.0 announcement do for you? Because the only thing I really heard was PvE. It's PvE that's being pumped up that's going to be amazing and nobody else has been able to succeed with, and we're probably not going to see for a couple of years. You know what I mean? That's the only thing I really saw hyped. They got rid of first edition, which, in my opinion, is a huge blunder. It really is. Again, you're going to throw first edition away because he says the first edition model is broken. Well, of course it's broken because you fucking broke it yourself. That's why it's broken. It's not broken because it wasn't going to work. It would have worked perfectly fine. Mike Waddell is going to prove that first edition can continue to thrive. You can continue to print first edition if you know what the fuck you're doing, but you can't do it if you have no idea what you're doing. And James doesn't know what he's doing. He has no right to be running flesh and blood because he's running it into the ground. I don't care what anybody says. You have all these players who are just going to keep riding them until the ends of the earth, but I'm telling you, this is not good. It's not good for your company. It's not good for your image. It's not good for your reputation. You completely hindered yourself. And then other people say, well, MetaZoo's printing 100K boxes. What's the difference? Believe me, I'm not happy at all that MetaZoo prints 100K. I think they're overprinting. Should be more than like 60, 75K for their third set right now. Believe me. But at the same time, they have chasers in their boxes that's causing people to rip the shit out of them. I think their fan base is growing at a much larger rate. They came out over a year later after Flesh and Blood and running circles around them on social media. Their marketing is off the chains. And by the end of the year, they're just going to be creaming Flesh and Blood. I'm telling you, even when it comes to players, even when it comes to actual playability of the game, they're going to be creaming them. Flesh and Blood is slowed down to a freaking halt at this point in time. Maybe they're growing in other countries, but definitely in the US, it's slowed down. They shot themselves in the foot so many times. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And people just don't want to admit this. Because if this had not happened, yes, it would be 2, 3, 4 times the size they are right now, and they would be growing, and it would be a different story. But it's not now. So many people left. It's not. So I do believe that a lot of these boxes will be opened in time. I still don't agree with it, but the comparison is not the same. Plus, they don't put out unlimited like a bunch of idiots. Where LSS will continue to put out unlimited, even though there's just a super abundance of boxes. When first edition unlimited literally costs it the same amount, there's a serious problem. And people are just not buying the boxes. I mean, yes, they are selling. They're not selling very well. And now he wants to put out this third set. He wants to print the sets again for a third time with white borders. And he claims that he wants to have these sets very limited. They're supposed to allow for people to pick up those cards so they can play PvE down the road. But guess what that sounds like to me? Hoarders and scalpers are going to buy up those boxes if they are indeed limited. And those white border cards are going to be worth more money than the black border ones, which is the complete opposite of what he claims he wants, because he says he's making the cards worse and worse and worse. I get it that they're not hollow foil in the slightest, but for crying out loud, they're going to be hoarded. That's just reality. That's just facts. It doesn't make sense. There's so many things wrong with the things that he was saying. But people just want to eat it up and act like it's good news. Flesh and Blood is thriving. This game is going to come back with a surgence and a vengeance. And like, I don't see it. I don't see it. And again, as an investor, you know, whatever. But I have not invested that much in this game. Literally, I have 3 boxes of Monarch First Edition. I bought Rudy's kit for $1,000, and then I bought another box for like $400, and then I bought a first edition box of Crew for like $730, and then I bought 4 boxes, well, a case of Toa first edition for 126 piece, and then 1 box of Toa outside, a loose box, and then I bought 4 boxes of Crucible Unlimited for around $85 or so when it went out of print. That's all I own of Flesh and Blood. It's a small fraction of everything else I bought when it comes to Nostalgics and MetaZoo and Pokemon and Sorcery and Grand Archive and all these other games that I backed. It's a very small portion of it. I'm not that heavily invested. I'm really not. But like I said before, I'm not just here because of the investing side. Because everybody likes to act like the only people that took an L here were the investors. It's not true. The players are taking an L here too. Because a lot of players like to collect cards. And now collectability is just taking a dump. In my personal opinion, these new boxes, it's like 4 times as hard to pull a cold foil, and they were already hard enough where there was no value in the boxes to begin with. It's a lot harder to collect things now, and some people say it's great. I don't think it's a good thing. I really don't. So for most people, if you want to play the game, you're probably going to want to collect too. You need collectors, because if a dud set comes out, you still need people buying into that set, and those are people that want to collect the cards. And if you don't have those people there, your game will die. People don't understand that. You need collectors. You need flippers. You need all these people for your ecosystem to survive. It's just a chain. It's a cycle of life that you need for a TCG. People don't want to think this, but they do need to exist. So no, it's not just the investors that took an L here. It's you too. And it's you because the game has taken a huge hit in its trustability and its accountability. So many people are stepping away. They're never going to touch this game now. And that leaves a mark. You have all these other games that are coming out. They're going to be very enticing. They're going to look like Da Vinci when it comes to this game. Grand Archive, I think a lot of people can switch over to that game. Sorcerer, I think a lot of people can switch over to that game. You know what I mean? There's a lot more avenues there that people are going to be able to switch, because it's not like it was when this game first came out and there wasn't a lot of people there. It was pretty slim pickings. It's not the case anymore. And I don't think people understand this. I mean, yes, it would be a little more damaging if these games were to come out like tomorrow. They're not coming out for a few more months. So Flesh and Blood has a chance. But like, you look at their model down the road, and I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced by anything they said. Like I said, I think it's just a bunch of nonsense. I think he's backpedaling everything that he did and just come up with excuses. But everybody else is eating it up like, oh my God, this guy's such a good guy. He understands. We heard his side of the story. Now we understand why he did what he did. No, everything he told me just tells me that this man doesn't give a shit. Literally is not transparent in the slightest. Doesn't want to tell us a damn thing of what's going on. You can't trust anything that they say in the future, moving forward. How can you ride this game to the ends of the earth if that's the case? I mean, literally, if you're backing this game, how can you ride on those coattails? You can't, because there's nothing there to ride on. Do you like not knowing what the hell's going on? Do you like being lied to left and right? Do you like being baited and switched? Just because it didn't affect you directly this time around doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean anything. The fact that he already has to like reinvigorate this game like 3 years after it came out, that's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. And now he's trying to copy the Pokemon and Magic model. That goes to tell you right now, He's just trying to be another run-of-the-mill knockoff. Instead of doing something different that he started out with, now he's going back to the same old already. This is going to get real old, real stale, real fast. And like I said, the only thing you have riding right now is PvE, because it does sound pretty cool. But that's only if they can succeed with it, and who knows how long that's going to take. Oh, and one more thing. So everybody says Channel Fireball is the one to blame. It's not LSS. It's not James. They're the ones that held product back and then fire sold it and screwed everybody up. And the fact of the matter is, yes, Channel Fireball is a very scummy company. We have known this for a while now, probably even before Flesh and Blood picked this company up, to be completely honest with you. And the fact of the matter is, they decided to work with them, first and foremost. I can't blame them too much because even Mike Waddell works with them, and a lot of other companies are going to be working with them. It is what it is. I don't understand why. I don't understand why they're held up so highly when it comes to the TCG realm, because they do so many scummy things. They do show bidding. They do hold products back. They do act like they sold out of promo cards and then put them out again and again and again. They do all these things that piss off collectors. But at the end of the day, I don't know. We're living in Clownsville. It is what it is. But it's not them that we can really blame. We have to blame James. We have to blame LSS. Because when things went south, they sat back and they watched it happen. They didn't do a damn thing. Literally was a hands-off approach. Unlike Mike, who stepped in and tried to change things multiple times, may have succeeded in some areas, may have not succeeded in other areas, James and LSS did not give a flying fuck. And then guess what? After they completely destroyed Monarch, they went back and worked with them again with Tails, and they went back and worked with them again with Everfest. And we're seeing it now. They're doing all kinds of scummy things. Now they're giving out friggin' gift cards with their boxes just to get people to buy things at really cheap prices. It's crazy. But people are just allowing a free pass. Why? Why are we shifting blame? Why are we pointing fingers elsewhere and not pointing fingers where we should be? Very, very concerning. So if you're a fan, if you're a player of this game, you can continue to do what you're doing. Fine, whatever. I get it. It's a fun game, but it's so worrying. That's all I'm trying to say. And I'm going to get downvoted to hell. It is what it is. But it's the truth. Maybe it's a little biased. Maybe it's my side of the story. But it's the truth. And until you realize that I care about all of you, I care about the game, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, when I care about the TCG community, I care about the damage that this is causing across the board, regardless of what people think. That's facts. Open your eyes.